The average person estimates they spend around $86 a month on subscriptions. Studies that connect to actual bank records put the real figure closer to $219. That $133 gap, money leaving your account every single month that you're not even tracking, is not a rounding error or a math mistake. It is the intended outcome of a system specifically designed to take your money without you feeling it go. Welcome to Money, the channel where we pull back the curtain on the financial systems quietly running your life. From the fine print your bank hopes you'll never read to the trillion-dollar industries that depend entirely on your inattention. If you're new here, I genuinely hope you'll subscribe and hit the bell. We drop a new video every week, and they tend to be the kind you screenshot and send to people saying you need to watch this. It costs you nothing, and it means a lot to this channel. Today we're going deep on the subscription economy, not just Netflix and Spotify, which are the obvious examples, but the full scope of how the small monthly fee model took over consumer life, why it is so specifically engineered to be invisible, and most importantly, what it is actually costing you when you account for everything honestly. By the end of this video, I want you walking away with a clear-eyed view of what convenience really costs, and one practical habit that, applied consistently, could be worth tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Let's get into it. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to the early 2000s. Software companies had a fundamental structural problem. They'd spend years and enormous budgets building a product, sell it to you once, and then you were done. You owned it. No reason to come back. Adobe, Microsoft, every major player was riding this volatile cycle of huge launch years followed by long, expensive dry spells where almost no new revenue was coming in. Then someone inside these companies started asking a very simple, very dangerous question. What if instead of selling the product, we just rented it to customers indefinitely? Adobe made that leap publicly in 2013. Creative Suite, software people had paid around $600 to own outright, became Creative Cloud, a monthly subscription. Wall Street didn't just approve. It celebrated with a kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for miracle earnings reports. Because recurring revenue is a fundamentally different beast than one-time sales. It's predictable. It's scalable. It compounds. It transforms a customer into a permanent income stream rather than a one-time transaction. Every other major software company watched what Adobe did, saw what the stock market thought of it, and started making plans. Within 10 years, subscriptions had spread from software into every possible category of consumer life. Music, video, news, audiobooks, mental health apps, fitness programs, meditation guides, online therapy sessions, prescription medication delivery, meal kits, wine clubs, coffee subscriptions, razor blades, vitamins, clothing boxes, pet food, and yes, socks. There is a subscription sock company. Several, in fact. The model has become so pervasive that it would genuinely be faster to list the consumer categories it hasn't touched yet. By 2022, the average American household was paying for more than 12 subscription services simultaneously. And this is where behavioral economics becomes genuinely fascinating. 12 subscriptions sounds like a lot. But when each one is billed as only $9.99 or just $4.99 a month, your brain doesn't process them as a stack. It categorizes each one individually, filing it under the mental label of small. This is called mental accounting, a cognitive tendency to evaluate costs in isolation rather than as a cumulative whole. Subscription companies have built entire pricing teams around exploiting precisely this tendency. They price just below the round number, where you'd naturally stop and reconsider. Not $10, but $9.99. Not $15, but $14.99. And they bill monthly rather than annually whenever possible, because a monthly charge feels lighter and more forgettable, even though the annual total is mathematically identical. The free trial is its own masterpiece of behavioral engineering. Decades of research on loss aversion, the psychological principle that losing something hurts roughly twice as much as gaining it feels good, show that once a person has used a service for even a short period, the mental cost of canceling rises substantially. You didn't particularly want the service before you had access. But now that it's woven into your daily routine, canceling feels like losing something. The companies know this mechanism intimately. They give you the trial, let the habit form, and then let loss aversion do the conversion work for free. The reminder email is often timed to arrive just after the charge has already cleared your account, so the path of least resistance is always to stay. And then there is what the industry calls churn management, which is professional language for making it as uncomfortable and time-consuming as possible to leave. Cancellation flows designed to take 6 steps when one would be sufficient. Customer service phone lines available only during business hours, staffed entirely by retention specialists whose whole job is to talk you out of leaving. Pause options offered as an alternative to cancellation, buying the company another 60 days of revenue from someone who already tried to quit. Annual plan discounts that auto-renew with no reminder and no warning. These are not oversights. They are features, tested and refined through years of A/B experiments to determine exactly how much friction the average customer will tolerate before giving up and staying subscribed. UX researchers have a name for interface choices designed to manipulate rather than inform. Dark patterns. The cancel button that's small, gray, and buried, while the keep my subscription option is bold, blue, and front and center. The pre-check checkbox for an annual upgrade hidden at the bottom of a confirmation page. The notification preferences that default to on unless you actively dig through 4 submenus to disable them. The free trial expiration reminder that arrives at 11:59 p.m. the night before renewal rather than a week in advance, when you could actually do something about it. None of this is accidental. There are entire software companies whose sole product is tools designed to help subscription businesses reduce cancellations through precisely calibrated interface psychology. And then there is price creep, the slow, incremental rate increase that each feels too petty to actually cancel over, but which compounds into something significant across time. Netflix launched at $7.99 a month in 2010. Their standard plan today costs over $22. That is nearly a 200% increase across 15 years, but delivered in small steps. $1 one year, $2 the next, each one just below the threshold where most subscribers would actually pull the plug. Amazon Prime, Spotify, Apple One, Hulu, YouTube Premium, same story, different numbers. The model depends on the gap between what someone is willing to pay today and what they were paying last year being consistently smaller than the friction of canceling. Now let's run the math that subscription companies would prefer you never actually do. 12 subscriptions averaging $14 each comes to $168 a month, $2,016 a year. Take that $2,016 and invest it annually at a conservative 8% return, compounded over 20 years. You are looking at roughly $98,000. That is not a speculative Wall Street fantasy. That is basic compound interest applied to money that is currently leaving your account quietly, every month, to fund recurring revenue models at companies that may or may not be meaningfully improving your life. There are also costs that never appear on any statement. Researchers studying attention and decision fatigue have found that managing a large number of ongoing commitments, even passive ones, occupies real cognitive bandwidth. Every subscription is a small open loop somewhere in your mind. When did I last use this? Is this still worth it? Should I cancel before the next renewal? That low-level mental overhead is invisible in dollar terms, but very real in terms of the focus and energy it quietly drains over time. We are starting to see the first genuine signs of consumer pushback, what researchers are calling subscription fatigue. Millions of people have downloaded apps like Rocket Money and Truebill specifically to audit their recurring charges because they've genuinely lost track of what they're paying for. The dark irony is that those apps are themselves subscription services. The model has become so pervasive that even the escape hatch runs on the same mechanism. The real answer isn't another app. It is one habit. Once a quarter, sit down with your actual bank or credit card statement and go through every single recurring charge. For each line, ask yourself one honest question. If this service emailed me tomorrow to say it was shutting down permanently, would I be genuinely upset, or would I feel a quiet, secret sense of relief? That emotional response tells you far more about real value than any feature comparison or per-day price breakdown ever could. Relief means you're paying for inertia, not for something you want. There is something worth naming here that goes a little deeper than the money. We used to buy things and own them outright. The transaction was clear, the relationship simple. The subscription model dissolves that clarity entirely. You never own anything. You rent access to your digital life, your music, your software, your shows, your creative tools, your workout program, and all of it can be revoked the moment you stop paying. Most of us slipped into this arrangement not through any deliberate choice, but through accumulated convenience. We clicked Start Free Trial enough times that one day we looked up and found we were renting everything, indefinitely, from companies whose continued goodwill is the only thing standing between us and losing access to our own creative and digital lives. So here is the question I want to leave you sitting with. If every subscription you're currently paying for arrived as a single annual invoice, one document, one total, one number to look at all at once, would you write that check without hesitation? Or would you grab a pen and start crossing lines out? Do that exercise this week. The number you find might genuinely surprise you. If this video changed the way you think about even one thing, I'd love for you to hit the like button. It takes 1 second and genuinely helps more people find this channel. Leave a comment with the most unexpected subscription you've ever discovered hiding in your bank statement. I read every single one, and some of the answers are truly jaw-dropping. Next time we're going to look at something closely connected: why the human brain is fundamentally wired to undervalue the future and overvalue the present, and what that specific design flaw costs us quietly over decades. It ties directly into everything we talked about today. You'll want to see that one. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time.